All right, we're live.
We are now live. That's right, everyone. How's everyone doing out there? Woo! We are at Retro City Games and their second anniversary. This is Pop Culture Cosmos. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And who are we with over here?
Hi, guys.
I'm here today with DJ from Henshin Engine and also director extraordinaire Rob MCCallum. How you guys doing today?
Good.
TJ, you're pretty close to your Kickstarter goal.
Yeah, we are $150 away from hitting our goal. So, an exciting night.
It's an exciting night indeed. You're very close to meeting your goals. Tell us a little bit more. First off, as we get started here on the Podcast Radio Network, Pop Culture Cosmos, we're talking Henshin Engine. First off, tell us a little bit more about Henshin Engine. Tell us everybody out there why they should go and, well, help you out on Kickstarter with the great Henshin Engine.
Well, I mean, I think there's some actually good news right now. Why don't you check your page right now?
Seriously?
And this is going on as we speak right here on Pop Culture Cosmos. They are checking right now for Kickstarter. As we speak.
Trying to, anyway.
But Henshin Engine is a great project, a great game that you can help also as well on their Kickstarter that you can help fund. You can help make this happen as far as it's concerned. Stretch goals, everything out.
Oh, we hit it! We hit it!
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
I just put you over the top.
Right on the air. Right on the air.
Very cool.
They have reached their goal. Everyone, congratulations to Henshin Engine! Woo! They have reached their Kickstarter goal, and it is now up to you out there listening to go ahead and help them out even more because there are stretch goals beyond that they want to achieve.
Yes.
That would
You
make
can't even realize what's going on.
He is
so much going on right now. I am in that.
He's speechless right now.
I waited just for that, just to make sure that it was caught live.
Yes.
Just so I could get you caught off guard.
Oh, man, thanks.
It's a guaranteed thing now. Go to Kickstarter.com, search out Henshin Engine. Even if you don't know the PC Engine or TurboGrafx, this is a great excuse to get into that system, get into that culture, and support some original Vegas talent and be part of the scene.
Absolutely.
And it's also going to be on Steam and physical PC media too. So
there you go.
If you don't have a TurboGrafx or a PC Engine, you can definitely get the Steam version of it. It's going to be $15 a key. Everybody gets to play. Everybody gets to give it a shot.
It's awesome. What I've played so far has been fantastic. The game looks great, and it's going to get even better now that as soon as he gets out of his stunned disbelief here.
Throw me off the rail.
There you go.
I'm all like, yeah. I was like, oh.
Once again,
I don't think Jesse even knows yet.
I don't think so.
Jesse,
the social media person has no idea yet.
That's correct. Well, once again, Henshin Engine,
he's looking around.
It has been funded, but they need your help in achieving all their stretch goals to get all the good things in there that they want to put in. Just, if you can, please support Henshin Engine on Kickstarter today.
2 weeks to go and 5 stretch goals?
Yep, 5 stretch goals. A lot of cool stretch goals. One of them includes a Dreamcast port.
Dreamcast port, nice.
We want to do actual physical cartridges of Henshin Engine, like on the Genesis.
Nice.
Super Nintendo. If we reach that stretch goal, we will definitely get Henshin Engine on other retro consoles for sure.
So this is a perfect time. So if you're not a Turbo fan or a PC Engine fan, there's still hope that you can get this awesome side-scrolling retro game on maybe a console that you own, like the SNES, like the Genesis, or the Dreamcast.
Thank you for that, actually, because we didn't actually talk about the game and what it was about. We were just like, Henshin Engine made the Kickstarter, we did it!
Exactly.
Well, what the heck is Henshin Engine?
Tell us an awesome 2D side-scrolling platformer that's
yes.
created by you. Where did the inspiration come from?
So I'm a huge TurboGrafx 16 fan. It was one of the systems I had growing up. I'm really big into retro, love all those old games, and I always wanted to make my own retro 2D action game, similar to Mega Man and Valis and those types of games. So with Henshin Engine, I got the opportunity to do so. With crowdfunding, we got the chance to actually make it a reality. And now that we've hit our goal, we're actually going to go out there and make this game for everybody to play. And I'm super excited right now. I'm like ecstatic.
I can tell you're all caught up in the moment,
Yep.
which is a good thing.
Indeed, indeed. So that's Henshin Engine on Kickstarter. Look for it today. Go ahead and help them achieve all those stretch goals, because you will see them all listed out there, at what they still want to achieve. They still need your help. Yes, the game is funded,
Oh, it's too bright.
But there is-
Can't see it. Sorry.
but there is still many more stretch goals to go. Once again, that's Henshin Engine on Kickstarter today. So while we still have you in stunned disbelief, I guess a good topic, now that we're here at Retro City Games here in Henderson, Nevada, the premier place to go here in Southern Nevada for, well, retro gaming needs, as far as from all the way back, all the way forward, as far as that's concerned. Just a great place now. It's going on 2 years. Nicole and Doug have done an outstanding job as far as running, getting the gaming community involved, getting us involved here at Pop Culture Cosmos with everything that's Retro City Games. And we just want to, while we're here, congratulate them on 2 great years of retro gaming.
Retro City is the epicenter, I think, of retro gaming when
For
it comes
sure.
to not only Nevada, but I think the West Coast. What I love about it is the community aspect. We got original game creators like yourself. We got guys like Gerald here, who's really kind of bringing everybody together as the glue. I've been fortunate enough to make some movies on the subject that kind of fit in here and there. It's a good place to be, and we're glad we're here on the 2-year anniversary of Retro City.
And
It really is.
go ahead. Yes, absolutely. And while we're here, while you're on this subject, tell us a little bit more about RobMCCallumFilms.com.
Well, you can go to RobMCCallumFilms.com and check out a lot of the movies that I've made, including Nintendo Quest and the follow-up series, Nintendo Quest Power Tour. If you order it on DVD or Blu-ray, you get a 9th bonus episode. And if you liked everything you saw on Nintendo Quest, which has me challenging my buddy Jay to get all 678 original NES games in 30 days with no online purchases, you will love the series sequel follow-up, which has us going back across the country to even do more game hunting. And of course, there's other films on there, including a documentary on Kitty, a heavy metal band that I'm working with, Power of Grayskull and He-Man, and of course our upcoming docu-series on box art.
And, well, also, don't forget the award-winning.
The multi-award winning film now, Missing Mom, which is touring the festival circuit right now, and very humbled by the accolades that film has achieved.
It's doing extremely well, so check that out on RobMCCallumFilms.com today. A couple more quick shout-outs for Game Source. If you really want the latest and greatest in the gaming scene, head on over to Game Source on Facebook. Our good friends Mario Party Wars, want to give them, as always, a great shout-out. Sal, Yelthin, Larna. Sal was on last week's podcast talking about board games. They are part of it. If you want to check them out there, Mario Party Wars at Facebook. And then also as well, one of our newest additions, Wine, Women, and Words, the great podcast regarding books and literature. You want to check it out today, right on the popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Well, we're here today, 2nd anniversary at Retro City Games. What a better place to talk about a little retro gaming.
Yeah.
So, obviously you have your influences with what the game that you made. Tell us a little bit more about the influences you have as far as your favorite consoles growing up and how that led you to making Henshin Engine today.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the TurboGrafx 16 was one of my favorite consoles growing up. I did have an NES. I mean, what kid didn't have an NES back in the day? I think a lot of the influence for my games comes from some NES games too, like Mega Man. I mean, everybody played Mega Man, right?
I was hooked.
It was a classic. I have to say, Mega Man's probably my favorite action platformer. So it's kind of hard for me. Like, I have a big love for the TurboGrafx, but I also have that huge nostalgia factor when it comes to the NES. I think back to the NES, and I remember so many games that I grew up with playing on the NES. So it's a coin toss for me. Sometimes I'm in TurboGrafx mode. Sometimes I'm in a
So let me
Mega
ask
Man
you
mode.
this: do you love the I feel like you project more of a Turbo fan,
Yeah.
PC Engine fan.
For sure.
Is that because it is lesser known and you wanted to get it out there, or because everybody seems to be like an NES fanboy and you're like, guys, there's this other system that came out too?
And that's the big thing. The TurboGrafx doesn't really get a lot of love when you compare it to what I call the big boys in the video game market. Nintendo, the Sega Genesis. I mean, everybody knows these consoles, but you mentioned the TurboGrafx 16. Nobody really knows what the TurboGrafx 16, and the few people who do know, there aren't that many. So
It feels like the ColecoVision of that next generation. Everybody knows Atari, the 2600 and the 5200, and everybody knows the Intellivision. And then Coleco came kind of as the third horse.
Yeah.
So I feel like, Nintendo,
it's
Sega.
very similar. It's the what's the word I want to use? The redheaded stepchild of that generation. But it's a great console. I mean, it's an 8-bit console at its core. But for the time, it really pushed the limits of what games could do back then. Because when that system came out, the Nintendo was the only thing that was available. We didn't have Super Nintendo, we didn't have Genesis, we didn't have anything in the 16-bit game field yet.
Right.
So
I always loved the media, those cards, man.
Right?
Those cards are so cool looking. Like it felt futuristic.
I thought that, they were really ahead of their time. Those pocket-sized games. I mean, the Master System did it too.
But it
wasn't their main media.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing.
Yeah, and the TurboGrafx, it was their main media, and the games that came out for it were really good for chip-based games. If you remember the Sega Master System cards, they were games, they were playable, but they weren't anything to write home about. It was really all the cartridge-based stuff that was really good.
Right. So, and the cool thing with the Turbo Express, you could play those games on the Turbo Express, right? So the handheld for the Turbo fans, you didn't have to buy a separate cartridge like you did for Game Boy. All you had to do was buy the peripheral, the handheld system, and use the same library.
Pop it in. I was too poor to get one.
So was I, but I just love the concept.
But just the fact that it was out, it was amazing to be able to just take those games with those graphics on the go with you. It was really the first console to do it, and it was really the first console to do CD-based media at home. So I think that's my biggest pull to the TurboGrafx 16 and why I love that system so much.
And that type of influence, that gave you the impetus to create the Henshin Engine today. And you see that, and now it's fully funded on Kickstarter as far as it's concerned, but there's still more steps to go, right?
Yes.
So where can they go once again?
So to find out more about the project, you can go to www.henshinengine.com. You can find out about the team, you can see footage of the game, you can even download the 3-stage demo that we have here for everyone to play. So if you want to check it out,
I think, and go to Kickstarter.com and even just type in Henshin Engine or TurboGrafx, and I think it comes up, or PC Engine, or even if people go to discover new video game projects, I believe it's still in that window as well.
It is. It's like one of the first things that pops up.
Yeah, and now that it's funded, it'll even get more listed in different spots on Kickstarter too for people to discover it as well. So I think it's just. I got a question for you. I got to jump in here, Gerald.
No, you're cool.
You just told us about why you love that system, what makes it cool, some of the facets. How does it feel now that you're contributing to that library of offerings on that console? Like, this is something that obviously you just spoke very passionate about, and now it's not just a one-way street where you're enjoying it. You're giving back to it for everybody else that enjoys it.
Let me tell you, man, it's been a crazy ride. We started out not knowing really which direction to go. I didn't have a programmer. I just had a webcomic based on this system, and I wanted to do, I was like, how cool would it be to take this comic book and turn it into a video game, And so I started throwing sprites together, and next thing you know, we started brewing something up. And I've always wanted to make a video game, always. And what better console to do it than the one console that I really have like a strong passion for, the TurboGrafx 16. So
full circle now.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and it feels great.
Indeed.
To answer your question, it feels awesome to be able to do something like that. To make a game where like I can actually play, but not only myself but other people. Who enjoy this type of stuff too.
We got a fan over here now.
There you go. Hey guys.
See, we got people here. It's live. It's unpredictable, folks. We can't control who's on camera.
Indeed it is. But you have your influence as well. I mean, Mr. Nintendo Quest Power Tour. You have your influence as well that take you way back with, obviously with your best friend Jay and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the influences that helped create your career in filmmaking.
Wow, I mean, I've got
from a video game standpoint, of course.
There's so many. I mean, it's funny because you say Mr. Nintendo Quest, but if I were to pick a library of games that I'm probably dedicated to, it's probably the Sega Genesis library. I mean, there are the staples that set everything off, of course. DJ, you mentioned Mega Man, of course. Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love the Castlevania series?
Right.
Contra, Blades of Steel. Like, you could go up and down the staples of video gaming in the NES, but it was really the Genesis library that I felt like I actually was a gamer, not just as a kid playing with a toy that was kind of fun with your friends. Like, I really started being selective about the games that I got to play, and that's when I really learned about what video gaming could be and where it could go.
Any other influence as you were going along? You know, once you graduated from the Genesis, I mean, so many systems.
Whoever
came
really
out in the
graduates from
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, you know, so many systems came out in the 90s.
Well, I had a 64. I was late to the party on that, and then I went Dreamcast right after that. You know, and back to Sega because I really didn't love my 64 as a solo kind of machine. That was a great machine when you had your 4 buddies around. So if one of our buddies had it, then the rest of us didn't need it because that was the multiplayer machine. That's what brought multiplayer.
It was the Mario Party.
Mario Party, Mario Kart, GoldenEye, all that stuff. So I didn't enjoy that library as much as a solo player, and I love solo games, right? Like, we're living in an era now where there's a lot of games that are multiplayer only, and I'm like, I'd rather just sit in a room and play and enjoy the story on my own, right? I mean, it's similar to watching a movie, which shouldn't surprise anybody. I just love that one-on-one kind of experience. So after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go Dreamcast. Didn't get it on launch, but I got it the year after at Christmas. 4 months later, they announced it was going to be discontinued, it felt like. And then GameCube, and then, through the years.
I know Doug and I recently talked about his influences, and some of it came, and you were talking about the experience of a single person going at it to complete the story. How much did The Legend of Zelda mean to you as far as, and within that context?
The Legend of Zelda turned me off of gaming for a while.
Did it now?
To be honest, Ocarina of Time, I hate the game. I know there's a lot of fans out there. That water temple, man, where you're flicking switches and raising and lowering the water levels,
that will
putting
cause
on the
frustration
boots.
to anybody.
So, and I had the strategy guide, and you know what? It was just at a point where I put enough hours into it, and I was going through. I was just like, you know what? I'm done with these like levers and boots.
At that point, it's not even fun anymore.
No, because you're just going through the mechanics. You lose the magic of it. So that kind of ended the Zelda romance for me. Yeah. Unfortunately.
For me, Link to the Past, I think, was the last great Zelda game.
Sure.
I know a lot of people are going to disagree. People are going to be like, oh, blah, 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 you know.
Skyward Sword was the best.
Skyward Sword is amazing. But, you know, for me, it was Link to the Past. But for me, it's also the aesthetic. You know, it's missing that, like...
I think there's something charming about the retro aesthetic,
really
the sprites.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of people are doing it for a nostalgic reason because they're not limited to it now.
Right.
But I think there's just something more imaginative about it. Like, it's cartoony, so you want to extrapolate what that is. There's still personality and character to it. And this is stuff we talk about in box art, right? So, like, the early games couldn't portray some of those, like, Renaissance-like qualities, but that informed what you were seeing in the sprites. It made you want to believe that it was more grandiose. Those covers, like on Final Fantasy, made you want to think those sprites were like Game of Thrones, right?
You know, the interpretation in the box art, you know, that's what brought people in my opinion. Because you see a box, and when a box is drab, you know, you don't want to go in and play that game.
Right.
You'd see this awesome box art, you know, for this game, and it pulls you in.
So I got to put you on the spot now. Henshin Engine's funded.
Henshin Engine's funded.
Box art for Henshin Engine. What are we doing there?
I was actually thinking about making a box. Do you remember the TurboGrafx 16 boxes? So I'm talking to a guy who makes those. So I'm thinking about making a box for Henshin Engine. So,
very cool.
You know, I hear somebody has a certain documentary about box art games.
I wonder who that might be.
Where's that guy? I should talk to him about maybe featuring my box in his
we'll always feature your box in anything I shoot.
That's Box Art, the docu-series right there.
Wow.
Yes, next.
Once again, we're on the Pop Culture Cosmos.
And we're live.
We are live with Pop Culture
That's
Cosmos.
predictable.
Right here recording from the Retro City Games 2nd anniversary. We truly appreciate you taking the time to listen, taking the time to watch us. We truly appreciate it. Our next topic when we come back is going to be all about what makes a good sci-fi and why should you care? Coming up right after the break.
Is there a break? Is it built in?
It keeps rolling.
Oh, it just
I
keeps
see.
rolling. Okay.
So you just cut it at the pop.
So we're all still live, though.
I just grabbed the audio. Sorry,
get you.
guys. I just grabbed the audio from feed and then I condense it
Gotcha.
where needed. So.
But everybody on Facebook is still watching right now.
Yeah, that's right. And we truly appreciate everyone out there on Facebook Live at the Retro City Games 2nd anniversary. Once again, I've got DJ right here with Henshin Engine, a fully funded Kickstarter game.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
And of course, I got Rob MCCallum right here with me as well. We're coming up right here after the break. 3.
I'm just curious to see if more people have pledged towards it yet.
And we're back, and we're checking phones to make sure we're seeing if Henshin Engine is even more funded. We're back with Pop Culture Cosmos. How you doing again? This is Gerald Glassford, along with my good friends DJ from Henshin Engine, and also as well, Mr. Rob MCCallum, director of a plethora of great films out there. If you want to check them all out, that's going to be on robmccallumfilms.com, and also to check out Henshin Engine.
Well, the good thing is, if they go to robmccallumfilms.com, there's a link to all the Henshin Engine stuff at the bottom of the page. So
Yes.
one-stop shop.
There you go. Yeah. Or HenshinEngine.com, Henshin Engine on Kickstarter.
I'm sure all my stuff's listed on your site too, right? Oh no, it doesn't work like that, I guess.
So while there's decision in the room,
Yeah.
I give you your shout outs, but you know what?
And we're
I'm
live.
a jerk. I should have put it on the website. Actually, no, that's Jesse. You talk to Jesse. He's the social media guy, so.
I love that. I love that. When there's anything in question, you talk to Jesse.
Yeah,
You talk to
Jesse.
Jesse. It's
the
always
social
Jesse.
media.
Wait, who's that social media guy? It's always his
Yep.
fault.
There you go.
Social media.
I'm
guy.
just the game creator.
Social
What do I
media
know?
is the downfall of society.
It's the downfall.
There you go. But I want to ask you guys something. When I left the house, there was a decision that my wife and my kids were making as far as what to watch on television.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of choices, reruns of this, maybe airings of that. But they decided to go ahead with a showing of The Empire Strikes Back. Seems to be a fallback position for not only them, but also for many, many people around the world.
Yeah.
The reason why is because, well, for instance, the Empire Strikes Back is considered by many, including us, or including me,
No.
as
See,
one-
you almost kind of set yourself up for
as one of
something
the
there.
finest examples of sci-fi filmmaking. I want to talk to you guys today, before we go, about your thoughts on sci-fi making. You have actually delved a little bit into that realm, so to speak. You might have.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sure.
You could call it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm here today again with Rob MCCallum and DJ from Henshin Engine. We're going to talk a little bit about sci-fi. And DJ, I'm going to start with you first. You know, we talked about your influences regarding video games.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the influences, regarding storytelling from a sci-fi standpoint, and some of the memories that you have that might have helped influence you as an individual, your likes, your tastes, but also maybe even Henshin Engine as well.
Do you like sci-fi? Let's start with that.
So I'm a Star Trek guy.
There you
So-
go.
That's sci-fi.
I enjoy a lot of Star Trek. I can't really say that it's influenced the game in any way. There's one sci-fi movie that does influence Henshin Engine a little bit, and that would be Tron.
Okay.
There you go.
That's the whole going into the virtual world thing that happens in Henshin Engine. That's something that I really wanted to take from Sid Mead's work, is that particular thing, where
Sure.
she goes into that
As
virtual
the
world.
opening level of your demo feels very sci-fi to me. The other levels
Right.
maybe not so much, more fantastical, but that opening
But
level,
that opening level's got that whole grid feel,
yeah,
and
the
it's,
slick chrome look to it.
yeah, and that's kind of the feel that I wanted to go. It's kind of in that Tron
Yeah.
direction with that whole thing.
But what about Tron that makes it so special for you that you wanted to make sure you put that influence within the game?
Well, Tron was one of the earlier movies that had just these amazing effects.
The visuals.
The really colorful visuals. It wasn't the fact that it was just cool sci-fi for the time, but the fact that it was so colorful. All the reds and blues. There was so many blue hues, in that movie. And that's actually one of the things I try to capture in that game with the design of the first level, is that whole blue hue feel.
Yeah.
And so for me, Tron was just way ahead of its time. But other than that, I like Star Wars like anybody else.
See, this is where I'm going to pick a bone, okay?
Everybody likes Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a bone with both of you guys right now, because I don't think Star Wars is science fiction. It's at best science fantasy. What makes it science fiction? It's just because it's in space?
I just think it's good.
No,
And
space is not a prerequisite for something to be sci-fi.
And there
I
are
think
lasers.
But they don't talk about the science behind it. When you're talking about science
Lasers
fiction,
are science.
there is usually a heavy kind of like science, an actual science
And
understanding,
that's been
intellectualism
And
through
that's
it.
been an argument for a long time in regards to whether or not Star Wars does qualify as science fiction as opposed to Star Trek, which actually delves into that aspect quite a bit.
And that's a lot of the argument a lot of fans of both sides have. You know, they say, oh, well, you know, Star Wars is nice and whatever, but then Star Trek actually goes into the physics of things and talks about the sciences of how this happens.
I mean, every episode of Star
theory.
Trek, regardless of the show, there's at least 2 or 3 good monologues of techno-babble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just like the phase inverters on the power couplings have been scrambled by the warp drive in this, you know, the silicon
Right.
membranes.
And, you know, a lot.
And there's a
lot of
little
it's-
bit of that
A lot of
in
it's
Star
made
Wars.
up, but they also have created this universe in Star Trek that they can go into these explanations and justify within the parameters of the
And it's
world that
still
they've
interesting,
created.
yeah.
And it's still interesting because they've created their own set of physics, their own science for a lot of what happens in Star Trek. So that in itself, I think, is interesting.
I think, you know, I mean, we're kind of getting to the definition of what makes science fiction a science fiction
Well,
film.
before you say that, Star Wars has often been considered almost more like a Western,
It's very much a Western.
Yeah.
more
I can see
than
that.
perhaps a sci-fi film. And I can understand both sides of that argument. But go ahead.
I think for something to be truly science fiction, the actual science has to be an underlying principle into the plot and into the universe. You can't deny the thread of science in Star Trek, or in a lot of even horror films that use science as the catalyst for whatever terror is going to get, you know,
The
unleashed.
Alien series.
Very much
Right,
so.
yeah.
For me as well, Blade Runner, I think is a true. I think that is an example of sci-fi as far as that's concerned. In the future, I'm just so excited for the sequel. That
Jurassic Park is
Yes.
another good one.
yes, because it does explain the science as far as how the dinosaurs created and how they come to life. Some other great examples for you for science fiction that won't get Rob mad.
Good luck. Wrong.
I haven't even said it yet, Rob. Right now, I think I'm on my 3rd rewatching of Stranger Things.
Nice.
Not that that's
There you
really.
go.
I mean, it's
Certainly more fantasy.
more
with,
fantasy,
but I
it-
think there's enough
there's-
science
there
elements
is.
to that,
There's-
to at
there's
least
a
the one
sci-fi
through line.
aspect
Yeah.
to it, you know, with the whole character with telekinesis and
Well, the whole like lab, like trying to
right,
just
the whole
trying to
lab.
understand by experimentation. There's,
Right.
I would almost give it to you.
And there's
love that show. It's a
almost.
great show.
And there's some movies really coming out in the near future that are being targeted as possible heirs to that sci-fi throne, with The Arrival, with obviously Star
Yeah.
Wars, again, Star Wars Rogue One. And then Passengers has also been talked
Yeah.
about recently as something that might delve a little bit into that more science fiction realm. What are some of your thoughts about some of the films that are coming out that might qualify under that auspices?
I'm so excited for stuff like The Passenger and The Arrival, because it's nice to see Hollywood really investing a lot of big bucks in more original concepts. You know, and we saw Interstellar not that long ago. We saw Gravity not that long ago. And these films seem to be of that irk. In 2017, we got even more sci-fi to look forward to.
And,
I think
they all connected with audiences. They all did well, and
because there's enough that makes us wonder, and they're hopeful, but they're also just a little bit scary, right?
yes,
You know, I'm going to go back to Jurassic Park, and that's what makes that film so good. There's an awe and wonder about what if this could happen, and then what if this goes wrong? You know, there are downright scenes and sequences from Jurassic Park that are horror. Like, it's straight up like
Yeah.
a horror movie, right? It's fantastic, but there are other parts where you really feel like this would be the coolest thing ever.
Now, and I mentioned briefly about you delving a little bit into the sci-fi realm. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as wanted to delve into that. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about, as a director, what you think is a great storytelling narrative in regards to sci-fi films.
Well, I mean, my first feature film is Unearthly. It's a sci-fi adventure, very much like Jurassic Park.
And I love it. I just forgot about it.
I did completely forget about that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, that picture.
Oh yeah, that one that I've done. And it's basically just set up as a legend, so there's very much a fantasy aspect to it. But I really tried to weave the science into there to make it, you know, grounded in something that's extrapolated. So it's influenced by a lot of films by like Tartakovsky, so like Stranger and Solaris and where the idea is, what if zones and parcels of land were affected with radiation that caused things to mutate and take on an evil presence, and that's where these treasures are kind of hidden. So is that treasure worth going in there? Is it worth kind of the things that are going to lie in there? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're a dad and you find out that your daughter, who's obsessed with treasure hunting like you were once, goes in there without you knowing, you're going to go after her.
Of course.
And that's the concept of Unearthly. And of course, like any good treasure hunt, there's more than one person looking for it, and it's a race to the finish.
And it's still available today, as far as for if somebody wants to view it. How?
RobMCCallumFilms.com. There's links for digital, and you can buy it on disc. I think for the digital version, we're offering 99 cents to rent it or $1.99 to download it.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually a film that you want to see because it is actually something that.
Well,
that
yeah, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and really, just despite the fact that you might have not exactly
forgotten about it.
Exactly, it is still something that people out there should take a watch to. What's it going to hurt you?
It's $1. It's $1. Everybody's got a dollar.
Yeah.
RobMCCallumFilms.com. But DJ, before we head on out, as far as for this segment, I want to ask real quick your thoughts in closing on really the sci-fi films that you're looking forward to, and then what makes, in your opinion, a really good sci-fi film?
I have to be honest, I'm not really. There aren't any films right now that I can say I'm looking forward to.
What makes Tron a great sci-fi film then?
Because it's
Just
got to be
in
more
general?
just
Other than-
it's
Yeah.
more than it's lasted this long in people's mind and ingrained in people's memories outside of just the imagery. Because the imagery is something obviously
Right.
that sticks with you, but there has to be something more.
Well, I mean, just the overall aesthetic of Tron, I think, is something that wasn't done back in that time. Yeah, other than that, I can't really say a whole lot about other than just the fact that it's in this world that is just.
That's the storytelling narrative. I was hoping you would say, because it was something that at the time was very unique of you being trapped within that realm.
Right, yeah, and that whole virtual world thing. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
No worries.
I'm not the biggest sci-fi guy.
Star Trek aside.
Well, thanks for coming out, DJ. We'll see you later. And
Fine.
Star Trek
No.
aside.
So,
What does Star Trek? How does Star Trek appeal to you? Because you said you were a Star Trek fan.
yes, very much so.
what's your favorite iteration?
It used to be Next Generation,
Uh-huh.
and then
Now I'm worried.
I'm not gonna say Deep Space Nine. It was Voyager. Voyager ended up being my favorite of the Star Trek. The Star Trek series.
I'm going to decrease my pledge right now.
But yeah, I mean, Voyager had this whole cast of characters that you just got close to. Sort of Next Generation for the most part, but I felt like Star Trek Voyager almost took a sci-fi / fantasy approach to it. That Next Generation was more about the actual science of how things worked within the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, there was a fantastical exploration about Voyager.
Yeah, there was a whole adventure aspect.
So for me, it's Next Gen, just because I think the amount of episodes that they're able to conjure and still explore new ideas is great. And then it's Voyager. I can't get into Deep Space Nine, but
I
honestly,
watched all of Deep Space Nine.
this week, literally this week, I've just got into Enterprise.
That's another one I have a hard time with.
I couldn't get through the first 4 episodes because it was all winks and nods to the fact that it's a prequel and
Right.
things are different. But once you get past episode 4 or 5, it's Trek. It's classic Trek.
Is it?
Yeah,
No,
it's so good. And I love Scott Bakula.
I'll have to revisit.
And I wanted to touch on this. What are your thoughts as far as how has the reboots connected with you today? And what do you look for when Discovery comes out, now delayed to May of next year when it hits CBS All Access?
I have mixed feelings about the reboots, the Star Trek reboot movies. They kind of feel like they're just trying to go for a mass appeal thing, not so much the people who are into Star Trek, which is, I mean, that's understandable. They want people to see the movie. They're going to want to do that whole mass appeal thing. I just feel that more Star Trek fans would feel if it was closer to the source material.
I feel like the great thing about Trek is you need that sense of wonder every episode, or that crazy human moral conundrum. that it's like,
That the
oh my
movies
god,
just
what would I do?
Don't have.
No,
You know,
it's
the
just
movie
like-
is pretty much on rails.
Yeah,
for the most
exactly.
part.
It's action sequence and action sequence, and how do we get between the two? Sorry, JJ, but we saw it in Force Awakens as well.
But he's got a formula, and he likes to stick to it.
Yes, he does. And yes, he does.
I mean, and it works for
For him?
And the general audience.
Well, the latest one did not connect with audiences as well as the previous two, so there is some concern
I like
regarding the
Beyond
movie future.
better than the second one, Star Trek Beyond. There's a lot of plot holes, just like there were with Into Darkness. The first one I think still stands the test of time the most, but there was a lot of character stuff in Star Trek Beyond, so they're at least moving towards a more
these are going
Trek-like direction.
into development.
Did you
a
see
little
Star
bit
Trek
more.
Beyond?
I did, but I still have to say the first one was really. If I had to pick out of the new ones,
Other
I'd
than
have to say
three?
the first one.
Yeah, it's the
Out of
first
the
one
three,
for
the
me.
first one is definitely the best one.
That one is, that's why it's one of the most watched films on television today still, is because I guess it just has that, it does have its issues. But as far as a fun movie that rolls through, tells a story, just point A to point Z, and just goes through it and doesn't stop, unfortunately, sometimes to tell a better narrative, but it does so in favor of maybe just trying to get it, like you were saying, a mass audience. But for it's to me and I guess a lot of other people, it's just an easy watching experience. I guess whenever it comes up on FX or whatever avenue it comes up on. I think that's why it's held up so well. Star Trek Beyond, I did not rate as strongly as you did, but I still rated a favorable film. I just think that the future for Star Trek is still there, and I think that I know that they have talked about possibly almost like a Star Trek Generations type deal where they're meeting back with Chris Hemsworth's character.
Yeah. That
they've talked about doing that. I'm hoping that they'll delve into that. Maybe that'll spice up with audiences a lot more. I know I had a lot of issue with where they placed it in the schedule. I think that was a lot of reason why that Star Trek Beyond didn't get a chance to connect it. I think they rushed it out because of the 50th anniversary, and I think in doing so they put it in a month where there was a lot of films stacked against it.
Sure.
I think that cost them quite a bit of their audience because their audience was fatigued from seeing this film and seeing this film, and we often think in when we analyze the movie industry that there's everybody has this abundance of cash during the summer to watch all these films. And unfortunately, no, people most part just only collect 2-3 films over the summer max.
Usually, yeah.
Exactly. So they have to pick and choose. So for me, Star Trek Beyond could have been done a lot better. I'm hoping for a better future for the movies. Discovery, your thoughts on that?
I'm so torn because I wanted it to be out in January. I wanted it to be that the big New Year thing where you jump in.
But it didn't seem like they were prepared. It didn't seem like they were ready to go ahead and...
I would rather wait for a good product, and that's what it always comes down to. It was just around the corner, but I'm ready to wait until May and maybe give it a nice run so that it runs in tandem with Game of Thrones, right? So you can watch Thrones, you can watch Discovery. I'm assuming it's going to be every week.
And it's going to be on May, part of the May sweeps. At least the first week will be on CBS itself to give everybody a taste of it. So... do you have any thoughts on Discovery?
Do you know how much do you know about Star Trek Discovery?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, so it's 10 episodes, and it's like a series, so they all go together, right? So they're it's a story that builds. So it's not individual episodes; it's serialized, and it follows not necessarily the captain, but more the ranks underneath as it relates to what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's set before Spock and Kirk.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you will need CBS All Access.
But after Enterprise.
But you will need CBS All Access to get, access to all the episodes in order to be able to view it. Let's hope there's strong word of mouth. Let's hope there's actually a good product. We'll be keeping a sharp eye on Discovery as that May premiere date hopefully draws near.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to thank DJ from Henshin Engine, a fully funded game on Kickstarter as of tonight, and the man who put it over the top.
Oh, I'm not the only one. There's over 250 people that made that happen.
Well, there you go. And there's more that you can do to help Henshin Engine reach all of its stretch goals. And
yeah, you want to see that game, that awesome 2D side-scrolling retro fun game on a cartridge? put some money down. $40 guarantees your copy right now, and it helps us get that option down the road.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. So after a bit, we'll be talking a little bit more
Yeah.
from the pop culture cosmos. We'll be right back. All right.
So that's another break. We're still live, but we're having a break, so it's not like a real break.
There you go. Well,
What
no,
are we
actually,
talking about next?
break.
We're going to be talking a little bit about missing moms. So
Okay. A real pick-me-up section.
there you go.
Okay.
I need to watch. I need to see that.
Did you have some
I haven't
questions?
seen it.
Well, good. We have someone who hasn't watched it yet. So
I really do want to see it though.
You've got to wait till it's done playing the festival circuit now.
Can we go to New Zealand and watch it? I heard they're showing it there.
Yeah, it's playing at the Auckland International Film Festival.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Missing Mom. If you have any questions, some of them will be answered. As far as maybe a little bit will be answered.
It depends on what the questions are.
Exactly.
I'll always give an answer, just you might not necessarily like the answer.
And feel free to chime in with your own questions as well. Because I know 10 questions they're looking for from an audience.
No, that was just my idea.
Okay.
We can give people, 5, 10. So I don't want to play 20 questions.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
What is it? Animal, mineral, vegetable?
There you go.
Vegetable.
It's exactly.
Mineral. So what were you feeling when you started this film? Mineral.
There you go. Indeed.
It was solid like a rock. Just because I rock doesn't mean my heart's made of stone.
And we're coming back with
Another exciting segment.
of the pop culture cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford along with my good friends DJ from Henshin Engine, a fully funded game that you can help reach their stretch goals on Kickstarter today.
Yes.
And I've also got my good friend as well, the director of, Nintendo Quest Power Tour, the Kitty documentary, oh my gosh, box art, the docuseries.
This is going to be like a trivia question. soon.
Exactly. What is it, Rob MCCallum?
Name 8 films that Rob MCCallum produced in 2014.
Is there like D, all of the above?
Yeah.
It is Rob MCCallum, and we're going to talk about one of those projects he was doing. Obviously, something that is near and dear to his heart. It's a film that's won acclaim from all over the world, and I don't say that, offhanded. I don't say that as a blowing smoke anywhere. It is actually a film that has garnered acclaim from all over this planet.
Yeah.
It's a film called Missing Mom. I got a chance to review it. If you want to see a little bit about it, spoiler free, of course, want to check out popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. There's an article on it there, a review I did on it. I will tell you, it's good. It's really good. But besides that,
You're looking that way, but the camera's over there.
I know.
That's okay.
I want to talk to you a little bit and ask some questions in regards to
Sure.
the film itself. The background as far as what took place before that call that or that decision was made, that the call that if you haven't seen the trailer, at least it's on Rob MCCallum Films, his YouTube page. Look for it. Actually, when you type in Rob MCCallum Films, it comes right up. It's the first thing you see.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so
That worked out.
And when the first thing you see in that trailer is you announcing that you're going to go ahead and
Yeah, I'm calling my uncle, and
Yeah.
I basically kind of throw the premise of the film. I'm like, hey, Uncle Rob, because his name is Rob, so it was actually named after him. I said, I'm thinking about making another documentary, and I want to go in search of my mom. What do you think? And he says, good luck with that. So that kind of sets the tone
Were you
for everything.
surprised with that reaction initially?
No, I kind of knew that was going to be the reaction, so it was all kind of set up to kind of capture that,
Because
to really
this-
establish things.
Has this been something that's been sitting within the family for quite a long time?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, has been missing for almost 25 years. So it was kind of like, huh. Everybody kind of knows about it, but nobody talks about it. It's one of
Is
those.
that kind of like the elephant in the room where?
Yeah, it's not taboo, but it's taboo. It's just like you sweep it under the rug, but you know that there's something there.
They don't
Yeah.
talk about it, but it's something that
it's something that's pretty obvious. I mean,
Exactly.
because it's like, it's my mom, and I was raised by like her parents, my grandparents, so there's that obvious connection between us.
when you were first initially talking about doing it, was there any kind of positive reception at all, maybe?
I think there was confusion. I mean, it was kind of a nerve-wracking thing for me to approach my family because, again, it wasn't anything we discussed, right? So I'm like, so here's this documentary I'm going to do. My last one was about Nintendo games, and my friend Jay and my whole family knows him, and he was going to get this stuff. So for me to say my next film was, well, I'm going to do another documentary, and I pitched it as it's going to be a documentary on missing people, and I want to kind of use the story of my mom being missing as at least the through line, if not the main story. And I think a lot of my family was really confused on what that was, but they kind of just said, sure, whatever, interesting. Okay,
Seems like
yeah.
such an extreme from one type of thing all the way to the other.
And I can assure you that the film is not 2 hours of sure whatever.
Yeah, it is not 2 hours of sure whatever. And it's interesting you say that though, DJ, because I think you'll see a lot of parallels with Nintendo Quest when you see Missing Mom.
Really?
Because it's very much another road movie with my brother and I, Chris, going on the hunt to see if we can find her and what different leads we get. So much like Jay going store to store, we're going lead to lead, and it's different twists and turns.
Wow.
And there are some similarities that I wanted to also point out regarding Chris and Jay, because they are, they're not as familiar with the camera as far as, when they first appear on the screen. They're not as comfortable. It is something that obviously was not something that they had walked into with a great bit of experience. Or
Right.
anything.
No, I just kind of threw the camera in both instances on those guys, and they're good sports.
So with Chris, what was your first initial conversation with him, and was there any reluctance? Was there any questioning, similar to what the rest of the family was in line with?
He was a little different. He didn't know what to say. He doesn't have any memories of our mom because he was so little when she had last left. So I said, so hey man, I want to get your opinion before I kind of make the decision on this to see what you think, because obviously it affects him. And I said, I'm thinking about doing a doc about finding our mom, and I'm going to try to find our mom. And I know it's been almost 25 years. What do you think? And I think he said, oh, well, that's interesting. In the most kind of inquisitive, that's curious kind of way. Not like, that would be great to find our mom, just like,
Right.
And he's a police
like a
officer, so he's like, the hunt is upon us.
Wow.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's like, I think Rob's been, maybe hit the logger a little bit too
No,
much.
he wasn't worried about it being a crazy idea. He was actually genuinely intrigued by the idea of looking for her and trying to define answers, because as someone who didn't have any memories, he even knew less than I did, because I had memories. I was about 9 when she disappeared, and he was 4, so he was just like 3.5, 4.
It was probably something he'd never thought of, really. And then you bringing it up, it was like,
And
what? That might be
And we'd never really
interesting.
talked about it. I think the most that he got kind of growing up was like, so where's your mom? Because he was raised by his grandparents. We have different dads, and I was raised by our maternal grandparents, our mom's parents. And so when he became a cop, a lot of people said, well, have you tried to look for your mom now that you have access to certain tools and search engines and stuff? And he's like, no, So I was just like, what do you think about this? He's like, interesting. I think that's a good thing. And do you want me to be a part of it? I'm like, sure, I'm going to be filming. And I initially called him because I'm like, I got to interview you because he's part of the story to get your thoughts on it. And then he's like, no, I'll fly down and I'll be a part of it. It's great.
So how long was this brewing in Rob MCCallum's vision as far as that's concerned? Something that has been dealt. I know something. Obviously, your mom has been gone for so long. Somebody that you missed, that you wanted to go and see if you could find, and you could search, and you could try to find those answers.
No. I mean, I gotta even stop you there. I had resigned the fact really early on. Like, she disappeared in 1990, and I had resigned the fact that I would never see her. Probably by 96 or so. Like, as a kid, you just stop getting your hopes up after a while. It's like when adults lie to you and they break promises. I never expect her to walk through that door again. And leading up to her disappearance, it was very spotty visits. Because I was raised by my grandparents, it was whenever she could stop by, whenever she was working. And she never lived in the same town for the majority of my custody with her parents, my grandparents. So it was like I was used to the infrequency, and that infrequency just kept growing. So I would say by 96 or 97, I had kind of resigned the fact that she wasn't going to be in my life. And it was really Nintendo Quest that kickstarted the idea, Jay had gone on this adventure in an attempt to do something that everybody thought would be impossible. And I'm sitting there playing Child of Light, which is a game about a girl trying to do anything possible to get back to her dad in another dimension. And I'm like, what could I do as a film that people would say would be impossible? And I said, find my mom. Like, it was that quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was something that was triggered by you playing Child of Light?
Child of Light and Nintendo Quest.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
really cool.
And I've talked to the guys at Ubisoft, and I mean they're very aware of it and stuff, and they gave us a big push and stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but
that's
it was
super awesome.
very
That's actually,
much.
I was going to ask you how you went about going from directing films about video games to
something much more of a different venture, different nature, a more, I don't want to say more serious nature, because if somebody sees Nintendo Quest, there are some serious topics that you tackle in that film.
Yeah.
But something of it, like we're saying, like we're trying to allude to, that's something very different, off the beaten path from what you were just completed.
It just doesn't feel different in my heart, because it's just like, here's the project, here's what you're trying to do. Nintendo Quest happened to be about video games. He-Man happens to be about, an action figure and cartoon. Kitty happens to be about heavy metal. This just happened to be about me finding, my mom and trying to get the answers, and I just don't think of it as, oh, well, it's not video games, so how do I do it? It's still that ongoing hunt. The cameras are rolling, and what are we going to find every day? So that's why I say they're so similar, because it's another road movie, right? And it's the cameras are following and getting the reactions as things come up.
So when you were trying to get the funding for the film and trying to get everything together in preparation, what were your aspects? What were you thinking as far as how to get this film funded, and how were you envisioning your mind how you're going to lay out, making the film?
Well, I self-funded a lot of the film even before I went to Kickstarter for a little bit later. So when the production was wrapping up and I felt I got to the point where there was a story in the can, I went to Kickstarter looking for $2,000 just to help with a little bit of finishing costs, but everything else was just out of pocket. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of corporate gigs line up that gave me a little bit of a cushion, and I just ended a really big corporate contract that was going on for like 2 years. So like the second that Nintendo Quest ended, I had like a really big like corporate gigs like over and over again, and then it just ended, and I'm like, this is when I'm gonna try to shoot this film. And it was only about 2 months before that I decided that this was gonna be my next film. So it was just all self-funded, and then once I felt like I'd shot enough, then I was like, I just need a little bit more help to kind of finish it and put some polish on it.
Tell me about a little bit about Jordan's contribution to the film, because I know
Sure.
that someone, obviously the film is a lot about you, a lot about obviously the search for, you and your brother's search for your mom.
Yep.
But tell me a little about how Jordan helped put this film and make it reality.
So Jordan C. Morris has been working with me since Unearthly, that first sci-fi action adventure, and we
The
just
one you almost forgot about.
the one I almost forgot about. There's certain people you collaborate with where you just click, and it's
Absolutely.
not like a predictive thing where I say something and he finishes my sentences. We just have a very similar sensibility about approach, and
You're going down the same path, you
yeah,
have the same ideas.
we like the same things, and he's a guy that I can trust. He's very level-headed. He never gets too worked up, but he gets excited about the same things that I get excited about, which is fun, and he likes making movies. So he produced and co-wrote Nintendo Quest with me, and for this, I wanted him to come on and write and co-produce as well, but because I was going to be in so much in front of the camera, I needed an extra set of eyes behind the camera, even though he has a lot of screen time. I said, so why don't we co-direct this so that there is a little bit of objectivity? And when we're interviewing my family members, I said, Jordan, why don't you sit down so that they can tell you the story, because they're going to act like I already know the story, so I won't get the right kind of answers. So I would handle all the technical stuff, all the camera positioning and shots, and kind of dictate the stylistic approach to the film. And then Jordan became kind of like the journalist, the interviewer, to pull the stuff out based on the questions I would give him in advance.
Now, I want to ask about your family itself in dealing with the film. You obviously you already indicated regarding some of the feelings and some of the emotions that were going through when you said you were going to go out on the search with your brother. Were there any really difficult periods of time with your family that were created because of it?
Yeah, like almost after every interview I did, I would get vibes from family members like,
The death look?
No, it was worse than the death look because it was like an acknowledgement like I didn't exist. Like, why would you put me on camera talking about those things, and now I have these things stirred up inside that I haven't thought about for decades. And I'm telling you right now, being on camera and even doing the documentary for me is a very therapeutic process. And same thing happened with Kitty. Same thing happened with some of the guys we talked to for He-Man. It was very emotionally investigative for them. They went back and rediscovered things and hadn't thought about things. So for my family, this taboo subject that they'd swept under the rug, now all of a sudden I'm the guy that's making them feel these things, and I become this target. And so after every interview, nobody slept well, and I would hear about it with little comments in there. But I think the biggest kind of nail in the coffin was when the trailer came out and everybody saw that first trailer. And, I'm not sugarcoating anything at all in this film.
And nor should you. I mean, in order to get it across to an audience, you really can.
Yeah, and it basically came to the point where I had family members telling me, you should wait for your grandparents to pass away before this film comes out. It could only be a few more years. You can wait. Don't release this film. You're destroying the family.
That's really
so I say to anybody that's ever been troubled by internet trolls out there, you don't know what it's like until you've made a film that your family turns on you.
Oh, wow.
And it's just based on a trailer. Nobody had seen the film, so I understand. And that trailer is cut to be very hard hitting. It's emotional and it's crafted to be that by design.
I saw the trailer and
it's gripping.
The first thing I thought to myself is this has to introduce a very strong emotional component to Rob for what he's doing. And you kind of answered my question about how you weren't the only one producing it, so that's probably how you got over that hurdle. But I mean, it must be really hard to deal with making a film that hits extremely close to home.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing, and you're an artist, right? You know what you believe in. And you can't turn your back on what you believe in. And
no matter what.
To be honest, it was the easiest film I've ever made.
Really?
Because it was just so cut and dry to me. And
you already had pictured in your head exactly what comes next.
It was just really clear to me. Nintendo Quest had 21 very different versions. Very different. Not I'm going to lose the scene or change this and now that's a different version. Different feels, different setups, different executions. This had 3.
Wow.
Just by comparison. It was just very straightforward and I knew exactly how to present the stuff. I edited the film as well, and so I just knew what I wanted. And the hardest part was just sticking to my convictions and saying, no, this is the film I want to make. And people might get hurt, but that's the truth, and so be it.
And much in the way...
Skywalker.
Exactly. Much in the way Nintendo Quest, as far as the ending, we will leave as far as the secret, as far as what happened there. Mm-hmm. Same thing for Missing Mom. Putting that to the side, after the filming has ended and after the production's ended, now there's actually something tangible that people can see. Is there still any hard feelings among the family members that interviewed with you as far as part of the picture? Are there still those tensions that have been frayed? Are there still, or have they moved on?
I think now that a lot of the family has seen the film and they're not relegated to just their imagination conjuring things based on the trailer, there's more of an understanding to what I did in the story that I presented. But I think there's always kind of nobody likes seeing themselves on film sometimes. They're not comfortable with that. So imagine multiplying that by 1 million, because now you're talking with family emotions and these people saying these things. Nobody's called me up and said, I can't believe you put that line in there, because they all know what they said. And nothing is cut or misconstrued. It's just a very hard-hitting, uncomfortable, emotional roller coaster that'll hit everybody in a place that we all recognize.
But there aren't any relationships between, let's say, your aunt and your uncle or whatnot that have been frayed permanently because of the film.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for the moment, I think things are okay.
You're still communicating with them.
I live 3,000 miles away from most of my family, so I'm very much, I'm an outlier to what's going on in their lives. So,
but you have spoken with them since.
Yeah, but they don't have to deal with me or see the film on a regular basis. Although Facebook is being lit up with a bunch of posts, fortunately. So they might see that, and I think the reception is pretty good.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Any other questions?
No, he's pretty much answered all the questions I wanted to ask him about the emotional aspect of stuff.
Rob has emotions. We can confirm it.
Yes, that's actually the biggest thing is how do you go into something like that and still, be... I don't want to say that you're emotionless, but you kind of have to put your emotions on the side to get this film done. Is that something that you...
So, I mean, what I think you're asking is how do you both go on this journey and still maintain objectivity as a filmmaker to get your job done every day? And it's a hard thing. I mean, for me, it's honestly using the excuse as the filmmaker to go in there and have the courage to talk to these people about this stuff.
Okay.
I don't think I could have picked up the phone and talked to everybody that we interviewed and asked them the same questions unless I had those cameras rolling.
Gotcha.
That was the device that allowed me to explore that. So in some ways, it took the 25 years before we even considered looking, because I had to become a filmmaker in order to know how to even approach that subject with that sense of confidence and like I was comfortable making a film because I'm a filmmaker. I couldn't do that as a person because it's been a weird personal situation. So I had that thing to hang on to.
Right, so because the cameras were rolling, you essentially had an objective regardless of what your emotions were, they were second place.
Yeah.
Because the cameras were there, you had to get this
That kept your
statement.
focus as far as the filmmaker's
Yeah,
concerned.
that's interesting.
What do you want, most importantly, for audiences to get from the film? What do you want them to take away when they watch Missing Mom?
Well, going into it, both on the phone and on camera, I say stuff, it doesn't matter where we end up. It doesn't matter what happens in the final 5 minutes or anything like that. What matters is that you have the courage to go on these things that people say are impossible or things that may haunt you for years or that you're scared to do. It's okay to take a deep breath and go out and dare to try to do things that people, swipe away. And if I can inspire anybody to have the courage to pick up a phone and talk to a family person because they see everything I go to, or to, spend some time looking. A lot of people will tell others to give up, but they don't know what it's like to be in that situation. So, always have hope. That's the main message. Never give up. On both sides of that. So whether you are someone who's estranged from your family and you're the outsider, or somebody who's part of the majority looking for that, never give up. There's a lot that you can discover about yourself and about the situation.
That's Missing Mom, the latest documentary directed by Rob MCCallum and Jordan C. Morris.
Yep.
It's going through the film festivals right now, correct?
Yeah.
What are the future plans as far as the film is concerned, if you can divulge any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have another release on disc and digital. We've already distributed to our crowdfunders, which is really cool, but we're hoping for either December or first quarter 2016 to make it available again. It is playing the festival circuit. It's in 7 festivals now total around the world. Won 4 awards for the 4 festivals that have played already. And we're exploring broadcast deals with different countries. So I know England and the UK are interested in it. Canada is obviously interested in it.
I'm eager to see the German packaging. If it ever, I mean, if they do anything,
if they do anything like the Nintendo Quest German packaging, yeah,
exactly, because that was wild.
That was cool. It's always nice switching to Nintendo Quest to see that. Like, it's cool. Nintendo Quest is released in Germany on DVD now.
And you didn't know that in advance, did you?
It comes out this month, October.
But is the cover crazy?
It's different. Here, I'll look it up.
Were you told about this in advance?
Yeah, because I had to approve the deal to Germany.
Okay,
I just didn't know when it was coming, and I didn't know when the art was, and I have to approve everything, which is cool.
Okay, because it seemed like a surprise to you as far when you were showing it, first displaying as far as the prototype is concerned. I was like, wow, that came out of left field, and that was truly really a great
so that's the
great
DVD
box
case.
art.
If you go to facebook.com/the-NES Club
interesting.
or nintendoquest.com, you'll see it. It actually looks a little bit like a retro kind of NES
Super
cart
Mario
stuck
style.
into a sleeve. So
Well, while I don't think that would quite work for Missing Mom, just something
yeah.
Appropriate, but still looking really slick like that would be just awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I'm glad that the artwork is on par, if not better, than our North American release. So
Pretty cool.
But the North American release still looks quite good as well.
And you can get your copy at nintendoquest.com on 3-disc Blu-ray and the Power Tour
And
on Blu-ray too.
RobMcCallumFilms.com has
Yeah.
it all.
does.
One last question regarding Missing Mom. What are your feelings now that you have it finished? Now that you put it to bed, so to speak. Now that it's being played in festivals all around the world, you're seeing the acclaim for it. Is there, when you turn off all the computers, all the social media at night, and you just think about it as you're getting ready to go to sleep, as far as what kind of film that you created for it, what are your thoughts? Just, the satisfaction. There must be some sense of satisfaction that at least a little bit, because it's garnered some acclaim already.
It's nice that, the strategy with Missing Mom was always to enter it in festivals that are around the world with the idea of showcasing its universal global appeal. Everybody has a mom. Whether you grew up or were raised by your mom, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a mom, so they have that connection. You don't have to be from Canada or the US. You can be in any part. So we've had a screening in Copenhagen. We're going to have a screening in New Zealand. We have hopefully some options in Singapore and India and parts in Africa. Like, we really want to show the global appeal of this film so that, of course, broadcasters pick it up too, but so other people get the message that it's okay to have hope, because hope is universal too. So it's just really nice that what I think is a good film and has a good message resonates, and other people agree and want to help share it.
Once again, that's Missing Mom, and you can always find out more information on that at robmccallumfilms.com. Henshin Engine, fully funded game. Rob has not taken back his donation as of yet.
Not yet. Hang on.
Not yet.
No, I haven't yet.
But you can support them on Kickstarter today, and also so that they can meet all their stretch goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I gotta say it, when we were talking about a little bit about as far as something in the room in regards to a question I have, consoles. Has there been any talk about Henshin Engine coming to the console scene?
Other than the TurboGrafx-16?
And I'd say that the modern gaming consoles.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so
Steam.
So Steam is going to be the option.
And if you have a Steam console, there you go.
Right.
But I think when people say that, I apologize for not being a little bit more upfront. And then regarding obviously the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and then of course Nintendo NX when that comes out next year.
So we're thinking about porting it to
or
PSN,
handhelds.
And if we do PSN, it'll be PlayStation and Vita.
Oh, Doug will love that.
Yeah, anything that PSN is on.
He's a Vita man.
Doug doesn't like Vita. Doug hates the Vita.
Right?
No,
He says horrible system.
I have it actually on our previous episodes. He actually has claimed that that's one of his favorite consoles.
It's one of my favorite consoles too.
There you go.
I think it's the best handheld ever.
I want to get the PlayStation TV so I can play the games on that.
Yeah, and see, that's another cool thing is the PlayStation TV. So, sorry, not to completely
but there are thoughts that may.
But you want to publish on like Xbox Live and PSN.
Yes, definitely, we do.
Or the marketplace, I guess. For Xbox.
I think eventually we're going to. It was one of the stretch goals that we had for Henshin Engine is because we have to get like a developer kit.
Yeah, the license fees. Yeah,
that you have to pay to get that stuff done. But eventually, down the line, once we actually start making revenue off Henshin Engine, I think one of the things that we want to do is port it on one of these platforms. Also, just to get a little more hype. Henshin Engine gets on a new platform, more people get to play it. So definitely, we're probably going to port it over to PSN or Xbox Arcade. Hopefully in a year's time.
Super exciting. So people can contribute now to help make that goal happen sooner.
Yes.
Or everybody everybody that's already playing their PS4 and they really want it for that.
Exactly.
It's just going to be a little bit longer, so you can still get excited.
Right.
But Gerald, have you pledged for Henshin Engine yet?
I'm going to.
So the good news is everybody has $1.
Gerald, everybody has $1.
Everybody has $1. There's $1 to your pledge just to say thanks.
I've run commercials of Henshin Engine on virtually every episode of Pop Culture Cosmos right here on the Podcast Radio Network. So, all right.
Yesterday.
Yes, indeed. So while you're putting me on the spot, I will definitely.
We wouldn't do that live.
No, you would never do that live, indeed. But I definitely will see what I can do as far as help you with your stretch goals.
Just $1. Be a backer. $1 gets you part of the club.
Hey, I remember backing a previous project.
Yes, it does.
In amongst the table. So I will leave it at that. But once again, I want to thank both you, DJ from Henshin Engine, and also director Rob MCCallum. Both you guys for spending some time here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Is that it? Are we done? Is this the
almost-
sign-off?
We're going to sign off pretty soon, so yep.
Okay.
On behalf of the second anniversary for Retro City Games, congratulations again to Doug and Nicole for 2 years of awesomeness in the retro gaming world and allowing the community to come together here in Las Vegas. We truly appreciate it. Once again, this is the Pop Culture Cosmos on the Podcast Radio Network. If you get a chance, check us out Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. If you miss us there, you can check us out a number of places, including our podcast.com PCC channel, also our iTunes podcast, our iTunes Pop Culture Cosmos channel, and our home site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So
there's a few options by the sounds of it.
There you go. So there's no excuse not to listen to every great episode.
Just like everybody has a buck, everybody can listen in.
Yes.
Exactly. You'll hear also as well tastes of GamerCast, tastes from the trenches. And before we go, I want to talk a little bit about your projects with the trenches and GamerCast.
Just when we thought we were done.
Well, you've got so many things on the plate. So many
true.
things in the oven.
It's true. What do you want to talk about, the trenches or GamerCast?
Well, I heard both are around, and both actually, our
All right, so
our
here's
listeners-
the quick
Our
plugs.
listeners actually have had a taste of the trenches already.
Okay, so The Trenches is my ongoing audio series with people that live their life doing things that are creative. They're in the creative trenches every day, and I like to spend a half hour to an hour talking with them about, the difficulties of what they do and the things that drive them, and kind of their story and how they got into it. And sometimes a lot of that is just a lot of fun BS back and forth, but it's usually pretty interesting for me. It's my secret weapon, because I get to learn about other fields that I don't know anything about by talking to these animators or sculptors or puppeteers or anything for that matter. So that's my kind of research.
And you got another little audio thing going on called GamerCast with Rob, Jay, and Glenn. And,
Yeah.
Obviously got three great guys together that have formed a great podcast. But tell us a little bit more about that.
So GamerCast grew out of promoting Nintendo Quest, and we did, I think, 89 episodes last year because we were on a weekly basis with a bunch of extra shows. This year, for season 2, we're going to do once a month, and they may be an hour long, they may be 2 hours long, but they really let us kind of sit back and make it more free-flowing for the things that we like instead of rigidly edited. So we're back for season 2, once a month, 10 episodes long, and hopefully next summer with the Nintendo Quest NES game, we'll be hitting the road and doing some of those shows live as we hopefully tour North America once again in a van.
Exactly, and so look forward to that. And you also get some taste of GamerCast right here on Pop Culture Cosmos, right here on the Podcast Radio Network. So, any last thoughts for DJ from Henshin?
How do you feel now that you've crossed the goal?
Man, it's still very surreal.
2 weeks
Right now.
left.
2
Pop
weeks
the
left.
cork
It's
on
not
that
over
champagne.
yet.
Still super surreal, guys.
It's not over.
It's not over indeed.
It's not, but I feel great right now. Once
Well,
the
let me decrease
once
that
the
pledge.
reality of it hits me, like
Well, it's definitely a great project indeed. So for DJ from Henshin Engine, and I also got Rob MCCallum here. Once again, want to thank you for listening. Appreciate it. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos, the name he created.
I
cannot-
regret it already.
Exactly.
Especially with that little tagline, the Pop Culture Cosmos.
There you go.
did you create that?
Like off
Name?
the cuff, like there was zero.
I
And then
gave
you-
him.
you
I
just-
gave.
you loved it?
I created.
Oh, that's amazing.
I created the concept. He created the title. Together, it's a one great universal signal.
I
So
think
there
it's
you go.
catchy. I like it. Pop Culture Cosmos.
Well, we've got one fan, folks.
There you go. We're looking for a lot more, so we appreciate you listening. Thanks again for joining us on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Appreciate it.
My eardrums just popped.
There you go.
Like the Big Bang.
Thanks again for listening. It's another beautiful evening in paradise here at the second anniversary of Retro City Games. We truly appreciate you listening and hope you have yourselves a great day.
Another sunny day in paradise.
Something like that.